I know the world is falling apart and everything's on fire. And more than ever, I do believe this is a time to tend to ourselves and take care of ourselves. All summer long, we're exploring what it means to come back to ourselves with softness, joy, and radical cariño.
Sabrosura pa' ti que.
Welcome to Café con Pam, the bilingual podcast que comparte nuestras stories sin censura. I'm your host, Pam Covarrubias, and this is a special series called Verano con Self-Love. All summer long, we're exploring what it means to come back to ourselves with softness, joy, and radical cariño. From healing Calladita culture wounds to romanticizing our daily lives, this season is about choosing you every single time. I know the world is falling apart and everything's on fire. And more than ever, I do believe this is a time to tend to ourselves and take care of ourselves. Let's dive in. Welcome to Un Verano con Self-Love, Monies. This is a 5-part storytelling series where I will take you through my 5 love stories. Some romantic, some platonic, some about me, some about parts of me, and each one reflects a different wound of Calladita culture and what it means to reclaim your voice, your worth, and your heart. These are not perfect stories, they're real, they're tender, and they're here to remind you that healing can be messy, funny, painful, and beautiful all at once. So grab your cafecito, get comfy, and let's begin your summer of self-love. El día de hoy vamos a hablar de el espejo. El espejo is the wound of identity. I was 15, maybe 16, just old enough to start craving freedom, but too young to do anything about it. I had just moved back to Mexico. I thought I was going on vacation, but I stayed, not by choice, but because my parents decided it was time. And I remember feeling like I was dropped into someone else's story. The girl who came back wasn't the same girl who had left. I didn't fit, not in school, not with family, not even in my own body. My Spanish sounded funny and my English was slipping away. I felt too American for here and too Mexicana for there. I literalmente was ni de aquí ni de allá. I was floating in between, angry, confused, irritated, annoyed. And that's when I met El Espejo. We were walking past his house on a Friday afternoon with my friends after school, and me maybe, noticed. There he was, standing outside, shirt halfway buttoned, singing his heart out like he was performing at the Auditorio Nacional. Él se veía totalmente. He had no shame, no filter, no awareness that other people might be watching. Or maybe he did and he just didn't care. He was the moment. And I remember thinking, who is this dude? And he literally lived a block away from me. He wasn't trying to be cool, he just was. And that confidence, that ease, I had not seen that in a long time. Or I don't know if ever, frankly. And I didn't realize it right away, but something in me exhaled when I saw him. That day, El Espejo walked into my story. He had this way of showing up that made everything feel lighter. He didn't ask questions like, "Where are you really from?" He didn't make me feel weird for being in between languages or styles or because I forgot words, how to say words in Espanol. He just accepted me. And more than that, he created space for me to figure out who I was without even knowing he was doing it. El Espejo took me to my first Vive Latino, and then we went to many, many, many after. I didn't know the bands at the time. I didn't know half of them. Many of them I did, but I felt so alive that first time. The music, the crowd, the noise, the dancing, the singing, the words in unison. For once, I wasn't thinking about how I sounded or whether I was too much or not enough. I was just there, existing. And then we went to El Chopo, el mercado que está full of punks, goths, metaleros, old records, vintage treasures, all mixed in with the smell of tacos and rebellion. I bought a secondhand t-shirt and he said, Esta es muy tú. Y yo no sabía que era, es muy tú. O sea, I didn't know what me was. And in that moment, I started to wonder. We dated for a while, and during those high school years where everything feels like forever and 5 minutes at the same time. He was loud, fun, and the life of the party, truly. But with me, he was soft. And when I started dreaming out loud about going back to the US for college, I was scared to tell him. And not because I didn't want to go or because I thought he was going to do something. I knew I needed to leave. I was scared to tell him because I didn't want to lose what we had. I thought he was going to be sad, mad, I don't know. I thought he would say, Are you leaving again? Or maybe guilt me into staying. But instead, he looked at me and smiled and said, Te amo tanto que no te voy a cortar las alas. Y te amo tanto que no voy a dejar que tus sueños no se conviertan en realidad. And I still remembered how it landed. Like something inside me cracked open in the best way. That was the first time someone saw me and my becoming and didn't try to stop it. And that's when I realized love doesn't mean holding on tight. Sometimes it means standing back and truly letting someone fly. Of course, we didn't stay together. We tried, we kept in touch, we used Skype and all the things that we could use back then to stay in contact. But we realized that life took us in different directions. Y como dicen, el que se queda sufre más. Pero el espejo gave me something that's still within me. He was the first person who showed me I didn't have to shapeshift to be loved, that I could be weird and layered and confused and still be seen. He showed me identity isn't performance, it's remembering. And sometimes it takes someone else's mirror, someone singing loudly on a sidewalk to remind you who you were all along. And maybe you don't have someone like El Espejo to reflect you right now, and that's okay. Because this story is your invitation to become the mirror for yourself. So when this episode ends, I am going to give you an experiment. You choose to do it or not. The experiment is as follows. You go stand in front of a mirror. You look at yourself in the eyes and say, I accept that I'm growing. I am evolving. I am worthy anyway. Let it land. Let it soften you. Because self-love doesn't rush your becoming. It simply says, I see you, and that's more than enough. We all know this. Talking about money is not always the most comfortable. Pero our friends from Savvy Ladies make it easier, and now in Español. You don't have to feel the pressure to translate for your mamá or your tías because Savvy Ladies has their whole site en nuestro idioma. Y ahora they can easily access their free resources like talleres, clases, y mi favorita es la línea gratis para enviar preguntas. Their free financial helpline en donde puedes conectar with a trusted financial expert. Whether you need financial guidance in English or in Español, Savvy Ladies is here to support you. Visit savvyladies.org, that is SAVVYLADIES.org para empezar your financial freedom. Here's the thing. Latina families have been saving money forever. From reusing plastic containers for comida, folding up plastic bags under the sink, and diluting dish soap with water. The last thing we need is to pay fees to access our money, right? Pues, in case you didn't know, BMO customers have access to 40,000 fee-free ATMs across the United States. Plus, their BMO Smart Advantage checking account has no monthly maintenance fee. Learn more about how BMO can help by visiting bmo.com/checking. bmo.com/checking. Conditions apply. Accounts provided in the United States by BMO Bank and a member FDIC. Bueno, that's the story of El Espejo. In 2 weeks, depending on if you're listening to this in Cafe con Pam or if you got the all access pass to this, next we're going to hear from El Infinito, which is the wound of commitment. Thank you for being here. Remember to support us in all the ways. Y como siempre, sigue brillando.
Sabrosura pa' ti que